Welcome to my daily review. Today is Wednesday, October 15th. You're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which gained 148 points or 0.2 thirds of a percent, put it that way, and closed at 22,670. You can see the volume was up today, 25% above the average daily volume, 50-day average volume. But you could see this big run that we've had, and now we're getting into earnings, right? And you can see it's starting to do this, starting to chop up, down, chopping wood, right? So, your stocks are probably doing something similar. A little bit of chop ahead of the earnings calls. We saw it here, in July and ahead of earnings, and then it, ramped, and then, now we're seeing it again ahead of some big earnings reports. And I know the banks have reported in some of the airlines, and I'm going to get to some of the earnings calls, but they're looking for the hyperscalers, the AI, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Googles, to see if how the AI revenue is doing, and how their investments and CapEx are performing. And so there's going to be a little chop ahead of that. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be better than fine. And we're going to charge higher in the fourth quarter, but we have to get through these data points. There's no CPI or PPI or jobs reports or retail sales data. There's no government data now. The only thing we have, because the government shut down, the only thing we have really are some surveys and then, corporate earnings. So these are weighing heavily. The Nasdaq is not the top performer, though. I don't believe. I think it was the IWM up 1%, and this is good. This is telling us that the market's willing to take on more risk. The market thinks that interest rates cuts are coming, and that yeah, they're more willing to speculate. As we know, we've seen them speculating quite a bit in some speculative names, and that looks good. The IWM making new highs, so it's up, man, 5.25% this week. So nice 3-day action for the Russell 2000. Anyway, I don't trade indexes, I trade stocks. And I mentioned the earnings reports. And the first thing I have to get to is ASML, the semiconductor equipment company. They reported strong earnings. They were up a lot more. They closed at, I don't know, the lower half of the daily range, I believe, 41% of the daily range. They were up quite a bit, closed at 1,009, but they were up 1,033. So, 24 points off the high. Take a look at the 5-minute chart. You're going to get some profit taking and some wonky moves around earnings, but the earnings call was great, actually, and exactly what the market needed. And it spilled over. And this is what I look for when I see a report like that from a big company like ASML. I look for some of the pin action and some of the other names. And we got that out of Applied Material, up 4.5% today. You can see it broke out of the base. Last week pulled back a little bit. Now today making new highs, up 8.5% this week. And a good portion of that was today after the ASML. You look at the KLAC, which is the ticker symbol for KLA, which used to be formerly a KLA 10 core, up 6% today. So that's nice pin action here. You can call that kind of like a falling wedge pattern. I would just call that like a bull wedge pattern. Undercut the 21, now rallied back above for KLA. Yeah, undercut and rally for KLA. What else do we have here? Oh, LRCX. This is Lam Research, another semiconductor equipment name, up, nearly 5%. Same type of action, except for, I should say, same type of action as KLA, except for this one found support at the 21, didn't undercut and bounce. And it looks like it's had a nice week this week. Yeah, more than 10%. So this is good. For me, this is good. We saw a little rotation, out of those minerals and quantum computing and into these semiconductor and auxiliary plays around the semiconductor. I can't go too much further without mentioning AMD. This one is performing beautifully. I didn't think it was going to get to that 240 this week at all. I thought it was just going to be a quiet week. What was the high last week? What was I say? 240.10. Today was 239.24. I really don't want to see it trade above there, but if it does, what the heck? I'm not gonna, sell it. It's in my retirement portfolio. But yeah, 11% move this week for Lisa Su in the advanced micro devices. A nice, powerful move today for AMD, and it was just up all day. It was looked like one of those things where the 1 minute chart's not going to get it. The 5 minute, yeah, it just ramped, man. Just all morning looked like the algos just turned the switch on. A little bit of profit taking in the middle of the day. There was some data came out in the middle of the day, CTA data or something that just a pause for the cause. And this thing, man, if it trades above 240 tomorrow, I'm super impressed regardless if it does or it doesn't. Some of the other names in the, hardware group, Celestica is a Canadian stock. They're going to report on the 27th. Got to be mindful of earnings reports, or you don't want to buy it and then, have it lay an egg and you're down 20%. So be very careful. But this one looks like it wants to break out of this little Darvis type box. It finding support consistently here at the 21. You could see this over and over and over again. Support at the 21. Now bounced today nearly 9% and well out of that box. So what's in the box? Not Celestica. Uh, Sanmina, the Solar Brothers, uh, nice 5% move. Not quite as strong as AMD. You can see it had this big week. It was up to like 160 last week, I want to say. But still, nice breakout out of its base there. Yeah, it was up to 160 last week, so it's not going to get there this week. 139, we'll call it 132 was the high, and there it is after hours, the high for the week. But still, these guys are thrilled with the performance and their purchase of ZT from AMD. So their partners with AMD is really working out well for them. Flex, another name in this group, and this is a top, 15 group. These electrical contracting manufacturing stocks are super strong. Flex had a negative response to earnings a couple weeks ago, just rallied right back up above its moving averages, formed this little consolidation pattern, and now that, 59.76 would be your trigger, and she gone. She's at 63.60 close. So yeah, very strong names. We're just seeing a lot of this. NVTS is another one. NV. Yes, it doesn't look like that. It looks like that. Breakout yesterday, follow through today, 20% follow through, which is, really, really strong. They had the partnership with NVIDIA, and that always moves the stock up 26% yesterday and a follow through of 20%. So, this is why we pay attention to these gaps higher. They tend, in a market like this is a really strong uptrend. They tend to do well. All right. What else we have? It's the hardware names. I got to tell you, these are looking good. Super micro consolidating within a base, trading tight, a little bit of a pullback. It's above the 21. And look at these last 3 days. This is super tight trading here for super micro. I believe 5507 is lower than yesterday's 5521, and the low yesterday was 5298, and the low today was 5286. So it did tick a little bit lower than yesterday's low, but still, this thing is trading tight within the base. You could see the 5 and the 21 have traded through the 50, marking an uptrend, and we have a little bit of a handle here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Yeah, this thing looks ready to roll to me. Over 55. Where is it at? Yeah, 54 here. Yeah, that one looks good. And so does Dell, another hardware name. This one already broke out, though. This cup with handle pattern made this high here on October 8th of 166.10. Now it's pulled back to its 5, closed 1% above the 5. That looks actionable to me. I don't think that's chasing at all. It's 1% above the 5. And yeah, I like that pullback there. It's another like 5 days, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's kind of like I don't know, a high handle, I guess you would say on Dell. That thing looks pretty good to me. All right. That's a lot of stuff from all and from that group. Okay, now I got to get to the banks. The banks had earnings and nice response to the banks. I don't know, I get a lot of negative stuff from the banks, insurance, and gold and oil stocks. People just don't like them. I just try to make money here, so these are just ideas. But this one pulled back to the 50. It's hard to buy something before earnings, but a nice pop today of more than 4%. Morgan Stanley, same kind of deal where it, pulls back into earnings, which is kind of what you want. And I had a nice run and then pull back some profit taking, and you get the news and you're up 5%. So very good. And these banks have been, delivering really strong numbers. Wells Fargo yesterday was up like 7%, followed through today 2.25%. So nice move where it undercut the 50 and then rallied back through. Like I said, it's really hard to buy ahead of earnings because it could go the other way. But these ones have been working out. Who else do we have in the banking area? Wells Fargo. Oh, JP Morgan. Yeah, Jamie Dimon, more chatter today. I wish some of these guys would just keep their mouths shut and let the good times roll. All right, that's enough of the banks because I know people aren't that interested. I did mention the rare earth mineral plays. They took a rest today. They took a break, and that's fine. MP broke out of a base, pulled back today, 9%. That's a nice pullback. I don't know if it's going to need more than one day. This is USAR. It's been 2 days, and today's move is more than 10%. So yeah, that hurts a little bit. Closed below the five. Um, oh, CRML. This one. Big move up, big move down, filled the gap, pulled back to its five, found support and bounced a little bit there because the low is 2073 and it closed at 2272. That's like a 10% bounce off that five. So these things are volatile. You got to know what you sign up for when you're buying these highly speculative. You can see the sales and earnings growth that don't exist. This is only a $212 million market cap. So these are teeny tiny fleas with 1.4 million shares in the float. Just pointing that out. If you're signing up for that, that thing's going to move a lot. And then I did mention the quantum computers took a step back today. That's okay. This one's still above the 21. It's had a big, big move. Rigetti was down all day, but did it close down? No. This is a Tom Petty stock, won't back down. You could see it was down today, down, 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 down all day. And I thought, oh, this one's really going to crater. Nope. Buyer stepped in. I'm telling you, there's a lot of money and there's a lot of speculation in this market. I get it. Um, I know there's a lot of liquidity chasing some of these speculative names, but I got to tell you, there's some quality stocks that are being ignored, and it bugs me a little bit because it's an opportunity for sure. And I was going to make a video about it, but it's just I'm not going to. It's just the hand that we're dealt. So we're just going to focus on strength, and if those stocks with good fundamentals are lagging, well, that's the way it goes. They'll catch up sometime, and then we'll highlight them at that point. All right, the group that I like. Now, I mentioned the choppy nature of the tape today, and this one really was strong. In the morning, gapped up, gapped up. It was up to what, 74.10, 74.15. Yippee-ki-yay, woohoo! We're in the chips, and all of a sudden, whoops, there goes your profit taking. There goes all your. And I know some people were saying that I wanted to take profits too because all it takes is one tweet, and two out of the last three sessions we've closed real negatively because of tweets, so you got to protect your assets. I get it. And this is where your time frame really matters. If you're holding Iris Energy and you're thinking it's going to 100 or 200 and you're holding it long term, that's fine. You can handle these little wiggles in and out. I mean, if you take a step back and look at a weekly chart, I mean, this thing's just heading straight up. So who cares if it had a reversal today and close a little lower? I mean, it's up 14% already this week. So, but then if you're trading and you're trying to win the day every day or trying to outperform, then you're probably selling the spike here and then buy it back later when it pulls back to the five or whatever. I mean, that's to me that's a dangerous game because you're going to be probably buying at higher prices, but that's okay because you're protecting your capital and you're making winning trades. So, collect the wins along the way. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just your style, it's your temperament whatever you can handle, you can tolerate. That's why I say it's a personal journey. This trading, swing trading, and investing. So it's just what fits your criteria and your age. To me, my age has a lot to do with how I my strategies because I'm not willing to sit through a downturn because I'm not. First of all, it's my personality, and second of all, I'm not into losing money, so I want to, like the Bill O'Neill with the turkey trap story. You got all those turkeys in there. Let's just trap them and go home, and we can always buy these things back later. If it goes higher without me, I'm okay with that. I'm not. I don't worry about stuff like that. I'm just taking the wins. CIFR mining. This one did the same thing. A little choppy today. It ran up in the morning, sold off some profit taking, but it closed higher even with the weak. Last 20 minutes it closed higher, so this one's showing strength, and I think they're expecting some news on that one. BITF and WULF, those ones are showing strength, still above 15 here today. This is just flat, as flat can be, 1 cent. BITF, this one's trading with these guys now. It's above $6. Man, nice move today, up 10%. So yeah, anyway, all right. I can't go any further without mentioning gold. I'm sorry, gold over 4,200. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but I think it's going much higher. I think it's going to 5,000 probably before these things slow down. And if you're looking for, stocks to buy in the gold, I don't know why you wouldn't. This is the strongest performing one this year. Made a high of 25.09, and finally you get a pullback right to the 21. And now it's above the old 25.09 high. They very rarely do these things pull back. There you go. This is like 2 weeks. That's your gift. That's your early Christmas gift right there. And this one just wants higher prices. Barrick Mining, they changed their ticker symbol to B, and up 4% today. Once again, had this little, I wouldn't call it a falling wedge. I just call it like a bull wedge here, and it's trying to break above this downtrend line. Really, flagging after a pretty solid move here. And that one looks good to me. I mean, if you want to buy gold stocks, you want to buy them on pullbacks or in some sort of pattern and not where you're chasing. I've been highlighting this one a lot, and finally it popped 8% today, and it's had a pretty strong week. Did I put it on my ready list this week? I don't think I did. I had a 3 weeks tight pattern. I was looking at this over the weekend. I don't think I did. I have it written down here. But yeah, it's okay. It can't kiss all the babies. I get it. People don't want to buy gold. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. I just highlighting ideas, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. Just highlighting ideas for some people because, I don't know what people want. I don't know, how people trade or, what their time horizon is. So it's very difficult to make decisions for people, and the buying part's easy, and when to sell and take some profits is the more challenging part. But here's another one. Yeah, Hecla. And this is, gold, silver, the whole 9 yards, um, which is a reference to the whole 9 yards. You give them the whole 9 yards in the World War II fighter planes, right? They had 9 yards of ammo, and you spread it all out and take down the Red Baron. So that's where the whole 9 yards came from. Um, Kinross Gold, just popping. These things just relentlessly higher. These are Tom Petty stocks. Just won't back down. Just, 1 week. You got 1 week last week where it pulled back just a teeny tiny little bit. And that was your chance to get in. And now it resumes higher and makes higher highs, higher lows. Yeah, it pulled back 3% last week, and that was your chance to get in. AGI, same profile, pulled back a little bit, now making new highs. Yeah, I mean, these things are just super, super strong. AG and AGI. I noticed this is not a gold one, this is a silver. And so silver is up, and then copper's up over $5. Silver's just been ripping over 50 now. So these stocks are going to be going higher because the commodity prices are much, much higher. SA is another gold stock. You know, if that was a software name or a hardware name or semiconductor or something like that, you'd be saying, yippee, we're buying this one. But, if that was a data center play, but it's a gold play, so nobody even talks about it. Nobody's interested in Seabridge Gold. And the last one, CDE. Uh, CDE is core mining. Yeah, and once again, this is silver and gold. popping 6% higher. I'm kind of interested in IDR because this has been trading with the mineral plays. So that one pulled back 10%. Same with these ones are trading with the mineral names, so they're quite volatile. BTU, same thing. All right, I'm going to move on because I'm going to get to something that I really want to get to. Gold and energy are the top two performing groups. Both groups are up over 100% in 2025. So, I mean, if you just bought the group and went fishing, you'd be doing better than me. OKLO, though, this is one of the top stocks. I heard somebody talking about it today. Yeah, it's up almost 1400%. So big strong move. Once again, though, this one had the reversal, the daily reversal. So it's getting a little choppy here as it makes this high in the morning, 193, then kind of sold off all day. Found support, gathered itself, and then some buyers into the close, but still down 1.5% on this session. Not bad. I think this one's going to 200. Now, remember last week I had this on my ready list at 138 right here. Yeah, 138 on the 8th. I don't know what day that was. What is that? Wednesday? Yeah, Thursday. I bought this thing and ran it up. Sold some today because, when you have a 40% move, folks, you can't. See, this is where I think it's up to the individual. I know some people just said, "Nah, I'm holding Oklo. I think it's going over 200 as leading stock. I don't care if it pulls back." But for me, I'm taking profits. So hits, jumps like that in the morning, I sell the spike, not the whole thing, but you got to take some profits, and buy myself some Christmas gifts or something, or buy my wife something nice. And I'm not going to say you should do the same. You do what suits, your profile and your personality and your tolerance. But yeah, I think if you're holding this and you didn't sell today, I don't think you have anything to worry about. It didn't even pull back to the 5, which is 162, call it 162.50. The low is 164. So you could see a series of higher lows, higher highs. Yeah, if you're just holding this one, I think totally understandable, totally fine. BE is another one that gapped up on Monday, and this thing won't back down. It did, run up in the morning and then pull back. Let's take a look at this because it's nearly $10 off its high. Yeah, it ran up in the morning. Yippee-ki-yay, first 5 minutes a day, we're gonna be millionaires, right? Woo! Billionaires. And then yeah. And then it sold off into the close. That's okay. These things are look, they've been very strong and they deserve a little bit of a break now and then, right? New scale, this is a little different one here because it broke above its downtrend line today and showed strength all day long. So yeah, I'm liking new scale power. It's still, within the base. I would say it's still actionable, although it's extended from its moving average up 36% this week. Thank you very much. And if we look at a 5 minute chart, it doesn't look like Oklo where it sold off. This one, yeah, you saw some profit taking, but it's still up a lot because it gapped up early in the morning a lot. I mean, the gap, I was talking with a friend, yeah, it closed yesterday at 45.85, and then, first couple minutes in, you're up, yeah, 52, 54, 55.50, 56. So that's a big move higher, a little bit of profit taking, but still up, nearly 17% on the session. So congrats to the longs there. That looks fantastic. I would not be chasing that one though at that point. LEU, another one in this group, very strong group. This is like gold, just a lot of them to discuss. This one was up 10% today. Nice $40 move. And then GEV downgraded today. And this one pulled back. This one can't get out of its own way. The problem here is, it looks fine, consolidating within a base, but they have earnings next week. And there's going to be some consternation. There's a lot of folks who think they're going to be hit hard with these the administration cutting funding for the green energy stuff, but I don't think it's going to matter much to them at all. And this is a well-run business, and I think they're just going to crush the numbers and keep on rolling like they do. All right, that's it for the energy group. I'm going to have to stop there because I got other stuff I need to get to. Speaking of energy, this group I mentioned in the morning that they had news, and this one NXT. This is my favorite one in the group, but I know there's a lot of them that are performing well. This one's already broken out and it's gone. I don't own it. I didn't buy it, but super strong. You got these earnings. I'm a sucker for earnings. Got the earnings line heading due north, but they made a deal this morning with TE, and even though um, and that next tracker was up 7%, this is the big winner, up 31%. You can see that thing gapping out. This is kind of like that flag pattern where it went from $1.79 here up to above $4, then kind of flagged out, right? And I don't care if it's $2, $4, or $1,200. A flag is a flag, and this broke out of that flag pattern. So very nice. Congrats to the longs there. First Solar was upgraded this morning, and this is this one's gone too out of this little cup with handle pattern. There's your breakout here, and surfing the moving averages to higher prices. Yeah, up 9% today. Yeah, this one looks good. Um, I'm not going to buy it. It's a little extended for me, but it still looks pretty good in that weekly chart. All right. The last one. This is one that I had on my ready list last week. I didn't carry on this week. I just kind of knocked it off because I don't know why. But I had it on my ready list last week, but it wasn't ready. Now it's ready. It's up for nearly 13.5% today, breaking out. This is a classic, and I still think this is actionable because we've seen a lot of stocks breaking out, right at the pivot point, and you got power through the pivot here. And I think this thing's going higher. You would say that like $10 would be your, kind of like your old high, which would be your real trigger. But the high in the handle here was the actual pivot point, which was what was it here? 968. Yeah. And so it's not that far extended. The problem is that it's 10% above its five. You can see because it's been in a base so long, this five is just kind of lagging. Then all of a sudden it pops. So it could go another day or two, though, higher, and I would actually expect it to. All right, I'm going to move on to the drugs. I want a new drugs. IMNM. Another one, breaking out of a base here, then flagging. Where have we seen this before? Nice little flag pattern from about a week, 6, 7 days. Pop 16% today. They're going to have a phase 3 readout here in Q4. So maybe some front running of that data here. And if the data is good, it's going to go a lot higher. So that one looks good. INSM, another one that, I was fooling around with back around. I thought I would have trouble with 100. I went through there and then about 120, I said, I'm going to sell this. And then it went up to 150 pullback. I didn't buy it as an undercut to 21. I feel like a fool, but that's the way it goes in trading, right? I didn't buy it back, and I'm not remorseful or anything. Congrats to whoever's holding that, and congrats to the longs. It's doing very well. And that's the idea in the stock market, right? I mean, you want to ride your winners. But I sold it, so I don't own it. But there's a lot of these pharmaceutical, drug names that I like. Biotech, STOK is one that I like a lot. Made that high of 24.80, pullback, found support at the 21, blasted right through that trigger point. Now it's at 35.60. My goodness, big volume on the move here. Let's get that date. Big bar. Yeah, 12% move with volume. And on October 8th, that was just last, what, Wednesday? Yeah, today's the 15th, a week ago. So that's why I say you got to pay attention to these. And I didn't buy it. I'm like I'm lecturing you. We need to pay attention to these 12% moves with volume because on that day I was what, between 27 and 32. Now it's at 35.60. So another 10% add on at least from the middle of that daily range. What else do I have? Got a bunch of them here. Bear with me. This is disc medicine. Oh, I hate thinking of disc. Any male over 30 knows about disc. And this one had this little, Darvis box, if you will, or little consolidation pattern here for a while, and then broke out of it recently. Whoops, you're getting a little carried away there, Marty. Yeah, right here. And yep, out of the box and off to the races she goes, down the back stretch and looking nice. Disc medicine. I have no clue what they do. Looks like a blood diseases, rare genetic blood disease. All right. ABVX is another one we've been watching for a while. I don't even know how it did. I have this on the ready list. I like this above 92, 91. TARS, man, this thing just continues. Tarsus Pharmaceutical, big move today. Yeah, just a little flag and then go, right? Not giving you much chance to get in these strong stocks. AQST, this one has just been a beast. Broke out of this box here about 450. Now, it's up over $7. So congrats to the longs there. I know some folks who still own that one. QURE, this one had the big move on the data and then just continues climbing higher, just won't back down. The gap day, you can see that big bar there between 51 and 37. That is a big bar. And then 51 was the high. So even if you bought the high of that day, you're still up $11. I mean, you think, oh my gosh, I bought the high, I'm chasing, I'm going to get screwed here. But this thing just wants higher prices. NTLA, this is Intellia Therapeutics. Once again, I don't know what they do, but ran up from this, I guess you could say the 10 area, formed this flag. These things have just been working like a charm. Form this flag here, a little wedge, and then pop today, nearly 9%. So we'll take that all day long. 9% gain is better than a sharp stick in the eye. And I think that's it for all my stocks today. So I'm just going to say thank you for watching. Enjoy the chop. It's going to kind of be that way, as long as until these guys report. Amazon looks a little sick. You got Jeffrey and Mackenzie Bezos selling stock like wild banshees. So they own about 20% of the company still. So it's going to be tough to move that one. Google's still looking good as I go through these Mag 7s here. Yeah, driving the index up a little bit. Apple, can't get off the dime. NVIDIA, I don't know what's going on with this one. AMD's just ripping. Well, I know what's going on. It's had a big move and it's digesting gains, but AMD is flying and NVIDIA is not. So it's just AMD's turn right now. So you just got to be patient if you own NVIDIA. It's been a big winner for a long, long time. And Tesla, these are the ones that move the index, pulling back. They're going to report next week. So there's going to be some chop ahead of that data point. Meta Platforms, more chop ahead of the data point in a couple of weeks, so 2 weeks from today. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have, well, a couple more things. This afternoon, United Airlines reported, and I guess it was a decent report, but the stock selling off a little bit. You heard Powell yesterday talking about the weak economy and I'm hearing, these Fed people are saying, they're concerned about the jobs market and the economy slowing. The IMF was talking about the slowing, economy. And so that's good for, it doesn't sound very good, but it's good for the market because we're going to get lower interest rates. I think they're just going to cut rates and hope that inflation doesn't flare up. And, they raised rates the fastest in history in 2022. And I think it's time, or their mindset is, it's time to continue on this path of cutting, getting lower rates. They're a little restrictive, I think, in their minds. So we're going to get some lower interest rates, which would help not only the airlines, but the home builders, just a lot of areas, automobiles, a lot of areas. JBHT, this trucking transportation group has just been in a free fall, man, just forever and a day, man. These things are just beaten up so bad, and it's good to see JB Hunt up, nearly, well, over 11% after hours. Still got some work to get through the 200, which it looks like it might in the morning. We'll be watching this one in the morning, but it's good to see. The transportation trucking group has been really battered. So anyway, good news for them. In the morning, we're going to hear from Taiwan Semiconductor. They're quite a few hours ahead of us, so we get their report real early in the morning. That'll have another impact on some of those stocks that I just showed you. This is in the manufacturing group, not the equipment group, but still, it's going to have an impact. Taiwan's a big, 1.6 trillion market cap, and I think they're gonna report a real strong quarter. We're also going to hear from more financial news from Charles Schwab, consolidating within a base. We'll see what they have to say. And then the insurance company Travelers is a Dow Jones component and selling off a little ahead of the print, which is what you like to see if you own it. You don't want to see it making new highs and then report a good number, then sell off. All right, the last one I was going to get to is just Dutch Bros. This is one of the names that I'm talking about with real strong, solid fundamentals, great management, real solid management. Um, I got to hide the little bar here. All right, yeah, and it hasn't participated since we've been liberated back here in April, done nothing. It made that low of 47, then it ran up, had a couple good earnings reports, and then it retested that low of 47.26 recently. I've been pointing this out, and I'm not, the best at picking lows, but I think even I can figure this out. A dime below the prior low on a week ago, Wednesday, October 8th. I made that low of 47.16, so 10 cents below the low on April 7th. All right, so wow, nearly 6 months of just floundering 47.26. So now what has it done? We don't care what it's done in the past. We want to know what's doing in the future. Made a low, made a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, and today, man, popped nicely, 4%. You can see the 5 now curling up here, and it's going to trade through the 21 here pretty soon. And if both of these can get through these slower moving averages, I think Dutch Bros is onto something here. I've done a lot of due diligence in this company. They're well managed. They're growing. They're taking market share. The stock just has been broken. So, yeah, you can see this double bottom base pattern. Pattern rec picks it up as a buy point at 77.88. You'd be crazy to wait till $77 because you're going to miss out on a lot of upside here, I think. And I believe this is going to run into earnings. The shorts have had their way with this one, and I believe they're going to crush the numbers. Only 85 million shares in the float. You can see the short interest is double digits, so they're about to get fried here. I don't think they've announced their earnings date. Market Surge has it as November 5, but I don't think that's confirmed. But once again, I could go through a bunch of other stocks that have solid fundamentals, solid, 20 to 30% sales and earnings growth, and it's just done nothing. And then you get something like Rigetti with no sales, no nothing, and this thing's up, 1,000% this year, or maybe about 6,800% in the last year. So that's just the way the market goes, folks. Bros will get rewarded one of these days, and it's just a lot of money, a lot of liquidity sloshing around, and they like to speculate in these quantum plays. So you got to play that game. If you're not playing Rigetti or IONQ, you're missing out on some massive life-changing gains. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.